Hey guys, so I had a really rough night last night. Um, I look a little crazy right now. Got bags under my eyes. I was um, I was just a little emotional. Well, not a little. I'm not gonna lie. I was very emotional. Thinking about my grandfather. His birthday just passed. I just did a video about that, and the anniversary of his death in September is coming up. So it's just a really volatile and vulnerable time for me, and I'm sure for the rest of my family, but I can only speak for myself. So last night, I was just looking at his picture, and I was thinking about something happy, and I just got really, really sad. I really miss him, and it just made me really think about the impact that, like I said in previous videos, the impact that his death had on me. And it just made me feel really, really bad because, why did it take him having to die for me to make the shift, the positive shift in my life and the positive shift in my faith? It bothered me a lot. Like, I felt really guilty because I didn't realize the beauty of all of his characteristics and his personality until he left us. And like a lot of us who lose loved ones, all of us that have lost a loved one, we think about things we could have done better, that we could have done different, what we wished we would have done, how we could have been there. And it just, I sat in that until like 4 in the morning. I was just crying. And, I felt alone a little bit in what I was feeling. And we get like that, like, we feel alone in what we're feeling, like it's just us that feels that, and that's just not true. That's just in the moment, that you feel like that. But these things happen for us to sit in it and for us to realize and to change and to do things better the next time around. I'm just really sad that it took all of that, not anything else that happened in my life, because I've been through a lot, but it took him dying for all of us, all the women in my family, to make the shift, the positive shift, to be there for each other, to encourage each other, to know that we might not agree on everything, but the important thing is for us to be there for each other. I feel like that's something that's needed in the Black community also, and that's something that's just needed amongst women, period. That we don't support each other enough, and not just in our business and our endeavors, but emotionally, just being there for each other and being there for our friends, even people that we might not know but that we can relate to. If we notice that they're going through something, you just never know. But it forced me to look at, myself and my imperfections and my flaw, and really own it. Like, I should have been there more, and I should have recognized the person that he was more, and I should have honored the person that he was more. I should have done a lot of things while he was still alive and could have appreciated them, and I didn't. It wasn't until he passed. And I don't want his death to be in vain. I kind of feel like I'll speak for myself, my inaction and inability to do better made his life while he was living in vain. Like, we weren't present. He was suffering, and he had cancer, and he was going through a lot. And I felt sad during the time. Like, I felt sad. I don't know that I offered the most support or as much support to him as possible during that time. I don't know if I did that. I can't say that I did, because I wasn't as conscious then as I am now, and aware as I am now with everything, with my feelings, with other people's feelings, with, catering to those things, and catering to myself in terms of self-love, and really understanding what that means and what that entails for me. So I feel, I definitely felt sad yesterday that I didn't acknowledge his feelings in the present, and I just wasn't present with him and for him in that time. I reacted, and, out of selfishness, we didn't want him to die, but honestly, like, I don't know if I would have learned the lesson any other way. As hard as that is to say. So that's where I'm at right now. I actually drove to a park by the water, and I wanted to sit down. I wanted to do the video outside, And as I sat down, these bugs, these flies were just biting me up, and I couldn't take it anymore. I have like all these bug bites on my legs now, just from sitting there by the water. So I came back in the car and turned on the AC to be a little comfortable, but I just needed to be outside for a little bit, and I just needed to clear my head, you know, and be really honest and talk about what, you know, maybe what a lot of us go through, not maybe, and how, you know, maybe I can inspire somebody else to just be more present with their loved ones. It's so important to me now. Like, I take it personal when someone's not present with me when I'm with them, and I really have to work on not personalizing the things that people do. It's not always out of bad intent. People just act out of their state of consciousness, and that's just what it is. They act out of what they're able to do. And in thinking about it in that sense and not making it about myself, it forces me to be accountable for my behavior, my reaction. And I can't say that while I was in this emotion that I acted in the best ways today. I really didn't. I was doing good up until a point, and then I just started to react because I was in so much pain. But you know, I take ownership and responsibility for that I did react. And once you start to react to things like that, like in any capacity, you lose control. And not that you should attempt to control everything, but the only thing that you can control is yourself. You can't control anybody else, and you can't control other people's reactions. And I'm just learning still, as conscious as I am of it, to not take the things that people do, the way they act, personally. I just can't do it. It's draining. I'm so drained right now. I'm so tired. I didn't sleep. You know, just aside from dealing with that perspective as far as my grandfather, and you know, wishing I did things differently and been more present while he was alive and honored him and loved him in a different way. You know, aside from that, I definitely reacted out of those emotions and not really dealing with all of them fully, and not understanding that, you know, some of us don't have the closest families. And whether you admit it or not, I had to come to the realization today that I need my family. It doesn't matter how they are, how I think they are, how I perceive them to be. You know, now that I'm in a different space, emotionally and mentally and psychologically, and I've processed a lot of what I went through and took accountability for what I could, and am more responsible for what I feel, and really do like a lot of inflection and self-examination when I do feel things in my heart, and have more peace because of it. I realize that I do need my family. Like with any other relationship, you know, we have to know when to say when. We have to know when to set boundaries. We have to know when enough is enough, you know, with everyone. But it doesn't mean that I don't need them. I need them, and this is me admitting that I need my family. We're all kind of spread apart. You know, my mom's in Georgia. My grandma is in Florida. My other grandparents are in Florida. A lot of my cousins are down south in Florida. And I have my sister up here. She's in Connecticut. I'm in New York. That's, everybody's just really spread out. And because of all of the confusion and chaos that was going on before, when everybody was kind of dealing with their own things, we weren't as close as we could have been. And now that everybody's in a different space, you know, my prayer is that we can be closer and get closer and be there more for each other, because it's possible. Anything in God is possible. God can do anything, can shift anything. But first it starts with yourself and acknowledging what you need. I had to acknowledge what I needed. Like last night when I was feeling that way, after 1 a.m, you know, I realized that I needed my family. And I realized that I don't want to wait until somebody else passes away for me to say that to them, and for me to express that. I mean, not directly say it, but to express it, and to express my love for them, and, you know, my need for them. So that's me being honest with myself right now, after being or going through all of what I went through today and last night or early this morning, and what God has shown me, and me taking responsibility for my feelings and trying to figure out where they came from. It's not always easy to do that. It's not always easy to take accountability when you feel like you've been wronged, or when you feel like somebody could act different towards you, or you feel like somebody could treat you better. But self-examination is imminent. Like, you have to do it. If you want peace, if you want things to get better, if you want to be better and to do better, acting in true consciousness is taking a full accountability for every single thing that you feel. Every single thing that you feel. That's just what being accountable is. That's what being conscious is. That's what being aware is. Awareness isn't hate. Awareness isn't spreading hate. Awareness isn't judgment. Awareness isn't any of those negative components. If you're gonna judge somebody, just make sure you're judging them on the same moral compass that you would judge yourself on. We have all these unrealistic expectations of other people and how they should be toward us, but we don't apply any of that to ourselves. We just feel entitled to it. Like, are you really taking the time to be what you are, not inflicting, but be what you say you want others to be towards you? Because if you're not, then you don't deserve it. Like, period. Doesn't matter how good of a person you think you are. I used to hold on to that so much. Oh, I'm a good person, I don't deserve this. Everybody goes through life experience, and if you're not, experiences, and if you're not taking accountability for what you feel and trying to process whatever it is that you're feeling, like, you're always going to be a slave to somebody else's actions or reactions or inactions towards you. And it's not for us to really personalize. Like, that's something I really got to work on. It's personalizing, not personalizing other people's behavior, because a lot of times they're doing their best. And it takes you making that dynamic shift and you approaching things in such a different way that it forces them to look at what they're doing and say, yo, maybe I'm bugging. Maybe I need to, examine myself. Because what you do is you put whatever, and when you don't personalize it, you're forcing the other person to take responsibility for their actions in silence. Like, you don't even have to say, yo, you should have did this, you should have did that, you should be there. Like, I'm realizing now that the more you take accountability, the more peace you have for yourself, and the more that people will start to come around and to shift. And if they don't, then they need to exit out of your life. You need to remove them, period. Like, if that's what it's going to take, then remove them. And that, to me, that's just God making room for things that are appropriate for where you are in that time. Sometimes people are around for that time, and that's it. But yeah, there were a lot of epiphanies, but it came with a lot of sadness, a lot of heaviness, a lot of allowing myself to move through those feelings and really experience them instead of trying to suppress them, because we tend to try to suppress feelings and control them all the time. And we can't do that. When we're in a moment, we have to allow ourselves to feel what it is. And I feel like that's the only way to process it fully. You do whatever it takes for you to process it, whether it's, leaving the house, taking a step out of work, taking 5 minutes to yourself to really just breathe and to be there for yourself, honoring what your feelings are. We suppress our feelings so much, we don't honor ourselves and what we feel. And then we take on people's labels of us. Oh, you're this and you're that. And it's just like, no, I'm dealing with my feelings. And a lot of people don't want to deal with their feelings because it comes with too much work. It's easier to say, you did this to me, you made me feel this way. It's so much easier to do that. And, I'm really, like, this YouTube channel is just really you guys looking at my journey. I don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. But as I move through situations and as I move through life, you guys get to see, not firsthand, but you get to get my recount of situations and how I process them and how I handle them and how things have helped and how things have not helped. Because everything I talk about, I've experienced, every single thing. And It's not to say I haven't made any mistakes. I've made tons of mistakes, but that's what life is about. That's how you learn, trial and error. You know, you do things a certain way and it doesn't work. You have to change the dynamic of how you do it. That's the only way you'll get a different result. And if that doesn't work, then you try again. Yeah, you know, we get drained and depleted, and we feel things toward people when we feel like they should be there for us, and maybe they should. I don't really have a concrete answer for that. I feel like they should be there for you, but that's not realistic. The truth is, if you're gonna do something, then do it and don't expect anything in return. That's when you're truly doing things out of being genuine and doing things out of love. When you do something and you don't expect it in return. When you expect things in return, it's a bit of ego and pride. I won't say that love is removed, but I'll say it's a little bit of ego and pride that's in the mix. And we really got to just surrender certain things. Actually, we have to surrender a lot of things that we are not willing to, because we feel that we're right. One thing, or one of the many things I'm trying to work on is, you know, just because I'm right doesn't give me the right. My mom used to say that to me all the time. Just because you're right doesn't give you the right. And at first, I was just like, okay. But then I really started to think about it, like, just because you're right about something does not give you the right to react in any kind of way. It doesn't alleviate you the responsibility of taking accountability either. Like, those feelings are coming up inside of you for a reason, and you got to examine that, because that's you. That's not them. That's you. Like, all day, that's you. So just because I'm right doesn't give me the right. So my approach now, and what I've been doing or trying to do, is apologizing. If there's a heated situation, I'll apologize. I don't know if I necessarily did anything wrong, and I could feel like I'm right. I could literally feel like I'm right. And to remove my ego and to remove my pride from the situation, and to make sure that I'm truly trying to work on just being a better person, period. And being of service to others. I push my ego and pride to the side, and I say, I'm sorry. Even if I feel like I did nothing wrong. And that is not always easy, let me tell you. That is not always easy, to be the bigger person. Because that's what being the bigger person is. That's what being, you know, the more conscious person is understanding that someone is operating out of their state of consciousness, and they don't know any better, and they can't do better, and you can do better, so you do it. That's what that is. Being conscious is not belittling other people because they don't know something. It's teaching other people. And teaching doesn't always come through your words. Teaching comes through your actions. You can say whatever you want to say, but that doesn't mean that's who you are. Like, who you are speaks through your actions. Who you are speaks through the things that you do. Who you are speaks through how you treat people, especially the people who can't do anything for you, especially in situations when you are right and the other person may be wrong. Your action can determine a lot of things. And I'm not saying to condone people who have unhealthy habits or not to be truthful, but there's a way to deliver the truth. And if you're living in truth with your actions, there's not much that you need to say, honestly. And if it comes to the point where the person is just really detrimental and toxic, then you just have to take space from them. It doesn't mean you wish them harm or seek revenge. It's not our place to seek revenge, because then you end up, you know, inflicting pain on somebody else, but then you're just doing that to yourself, because it's going to come back to you 1,000,000 times fold. It always, I think I spoke about that in another video. I can't remember if it was a video or a blog, but it comes back to you. When you take it upon yourself to seek revenge to people who have hurt you, or you feel have hurt you, you're creating a whole nother cycle of karma for yourself. And when you take it into your own hands, who's to say you deserve the forgiveness and love that you seek from other people or feel entitled to? I'm not going to say you don't, but whatever your actions display is a representation of who you are. I say all of this in love. I say all of this because I have gone through it, because I am going through it. If I'm strong enough to be a test dummy, then hopefully I can spare somebody else from, you know, going through some of the same things. But in the same breath, you know, I would just say be gentle with yourself when you are going through things, because you are human. It's okay to be emotional. it's not okay to react, but we do sometimes. So when you do, make sure you apologize if somebody else is on the receiving end of that. You know, and that's just pretty much it. I actually feel a little better that I've gotten that out. I hope you guys check out the video. Please subscribe. I see a lot of views, but I don't see a lot of subscriptions. So please subscribe if this has enriched or added to, or have, you know, it's done something for you. If you've gotten anything out of this video, I would love for you to, am I wild and crazy here? I would love for you to please leave a comment on, you know, either in support. If you don't agree, that's okay too. Feedback, commentary, let me know how it helped you. I really, like, this is like a conversation. I don't want to just be the only one talking. There has to be other people, you know, having the same battles. You're human. We're gonna have the same battles. It's all how we approach the battles. As always, keep God first. Get to know God for yourself. And you guys have a great rest of your Monday.